Hi guys, this is gsn.com and I'm here with the Sony Xperia XZ2 for a full review. It was unveiled at Mobile World Congress 2018 and it's time to check it out. So it's been a very polarizing device on account of the design and also some changes for Sony. It goes to 18:9 screen and also it has glass at the back, as you can see right here, and it comes at a price tag of around $900 available on Amazon.com. So we're dealing here with a phone that became available over the past month. It's quite fresh. It's available in black, silver, green or pink, and the polarizing design is based on the fact that Sony finally gave up on the only balance thing, only to find an approach similar to the HTC from last year. Now I love the predecessor, the Xperia XZ1. Let's see if we also love the XZ2. Now on the design front, I kept repeating the word polarizing. That's the best way to describe this handset. It's made mostly of glass. You can see here a really curved glass panel at the back side, obviously glass panel at the front, slightly curved, and a metal frame between them, keeping them glued together. Their measurements are huge for today's standards: 11.1 millimeters in thickness, 198 grams, which for a 5.7 incher, let's admit it, it's beefy and big. As an example, the Galaxy S9 is 8.5 millimeters and 163 grams, so the difference is stunning. The camera placement is original, not very sexy, but it will grow on you as time passes, and the fingerprint scanner not very comfy, a bit too low compared to what we're used to. A pretty glossy back panel, and it's so curved that it sits weirdly on a flat surface. You can see it spinning a lot, and if your flat table or flat anything is not 100% flat, the phone will start slipping by itself and eventually land on the floor, maybe also get cracked. However, in the hand, the size is so perfect that it can fit perfectly, so the grip is surprisingly good for a phone that relies on so much glass. Good news, it's got IP68 waterproof and dust proving, Gorilla Glass protection at the front and back. Once again, a polarizing design. I hated it when I saw it in the renders. I got to love it when I used it in real life, so it will grow on you. That's the thing to remember here. But it's beefy, massive, bulky and heavy. On the display front, you can see it's stunning. It has OLED qualities, but it's an IPS in fact. IPS LCD 5.7 inch, 2160 over 1080 pixels, HDR, Gorilla Glass 5, 18:9, Triluminous, X-Reality, it's HDR10 actually, and videos should look stunning. Speaking of things that look stunning, let's check out our library here. We have our typical test video, which looks like this. The colors are incredibly vivid for an IPS LCD, close to OLED levels, and I was actually shocked by the black. The level of black here is also close to OLED. The screen is very bright. It has fantastic contrast in this very sunny spring. Wide view angles. So overall, we're very happy with the experience and actually shocked by the deep level of black. Now, if you want to see how the handset did in our tests, we have here a bunch of tests. First of all, we put the screen under the microscope. This is the pixel arrangement. It's of the RGB stripes variety. And then we proceed to the brightness test, where we achieved a very solid result of 580 lux units. It's great. It beats the iPhone 8, it beats the Sony Xperia XZ1, the predecessor. That one had 553 lux, beats Galaxy Note 8, scores below the Xiaomi Mi 6 and Xperia XZ1 compact, but not by a lot. Now on the settings front, as usual, Sony is being very generous and lets you tweak a lot of stuff. So we go here, we got brightness level, adaptive brightness, sleep, smart backlight control, night light with its very own slider, disable touchscreen when the screen is off, color gamut and contrast with a pro mode, standard mode and super vivid mode in case you want even more vivid colors, white balance with 3 sliders RGB, and then we got video image enhancement. There's font size, display size, system icon, screensaver, one-handed mode, so you swipe the bottom of the screen to reduce the size, and that's about it in a nutshell. Okay, jump to camera, lift to check device, ambient display, wake the screen up when you receive notifications, and finally a glove mode. I have to say I'm blown away by the screen. Well, I have to admit higher resolution wouldn't hurt, but what we get so far is amazing. Now we move on to other hardware, and I'm talking here about the processor. So we're dealing with a pretty famous CPU. It's a Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 with the Adreno 630 GPU. There's 4 GB of RAM available here, 64 GB of storage, microSD card slot with support for up to 400 GB of extra space. By the way, in case you were wondering, of those 64 GB, we have 14.59 being used. So the rest of it is available for you. Luckily, the phone has no lag. No matter what you decide on doing, mess around with the widgets, enter a certain app, enter YouTube, upload a video, do live streaming, do some gaming, you will never encounter lag. And that's for a good reason. We have enough RAM and a pretty powerful CPU, so very fluid, and also has the newfangled 2-partition seamless install system for the future update to Android P. Now we also play games. We played Rules of Survival, which is a PUBG-like game, it's a clone, and Riptide GP Renegade, which is our typical benchmark game. It can be set to very demanding levels graphics-wise. Don't forget to subscribe, like our videos, and follow the notifications because we make the most in-depth reviews of handsets. Somehow the most in-depth reviews of Xperias because we have received a lot of them lately. We had the XZ1, XZ1 Compact, Xperia XZ2, Xperia XZ2 Ultra reviewed recently, and now the XZ2, which by the way has excellent frame rate and graphical details. Nice lighting, by the way. Okay, so we're done with the gaming. Time to see if the benchmarks are any good, and spoiler alert, sometimes they feel better than the Galaxy S9. Okay, so we did a bunch of tests. I'm going to start off with Antutu, provided that I find it. Found it already. This is Antutu 6, and here we scored above the Galaxy S8 and also above the Sony Xperia XZ1 and the Google Pixel 2 XL. But we scored below the HTC U11 and the Nokia 8, so we could have done better. This is the Antutu 7, much better result. We beat the Galaxy S9 Plus, no small feat, but also we managed to beat all the other phones we ever tested in this benchmark. Not many of them because the benchmark was launched, let's say, relatively recently. Now in the Geekbench test, Geekbench 4, you know the drill, we picked the multi-core one here, and we were able to surpass the Huawei Mate 10 Pro and also the Galaxy Note 8, but we scored below the Galaxy S9 Plus and the iPhone 8. On the GPU department, there's Slingshot here with the Slingshot Extreme, Slingshot 3.0 and so forth, and in 3.0 we actually scored the first spot. This is the best placed phone in the tests in both GFX Bench and Slingshot, so a pretty impressive GPU. Okay, now on the temperature front, we did 2 temperature tests. First of all, we achieved 33.6 degrees Celsius when playing Riptide GP Renegade. So that's a thing, that's nice, there's no overheating here. And then we achieved the result of 40.6 degrees Celsius. This is close to overheating, but not quite. It's not exactly overheating, it's just at the limit. This was achieved in GFX Bench. So in the first one, 33.6 degrees Celsius, in the second one, 40.6. Overall, not bad, but dangerously close to the slight heating of the phone. We are done with the performance and things like that. Time to talk about the batteries. So inside, we have a 3180 mAh battery, or some people would call it 3180 mAh, quick charge 3.0, and of course, because we have a glass back, wireless charging, of course. Qnova technology support. Just as a comparison, the predecessor XZ1 had a 2700 mAh battery, and the Galaxy S9 Plus 3500. Leaving this behind, I'm going to skip straight to the goodies, which is the video playback test, which should be here somewhere, you should be able to find it. And I have to say that in the HD video playback test, we achieved 11 hours and 21 minutes of continuous HD playback, which means we beat the iPhone 8, also the Nokia 8 and the Asus Zenfone 4. And let's actually maybe try and find it. Yeah, here we go, that's more like it. Those are some of the results we achieved. So as I said before, 11 hours 21 minutes of video playback, beats iPhone 8, Nokia 8, Zenfone 4, scores below HTC U11, the Xiaomi Mi 5 and the Huawei P10. In PC Mark, the result is a bit underwhelming, 8 hours 31 minutes. This is okay, but a bit short. It's the 50th placed phone, so it's placed on the 50th spot. It beats the Google Pixel 2 XL and HTC U11, but scores below the Asus Zenfone 4 and the Galaxy S8. At the same time, it slightly beats the predecessor with its 8 hours and 13 minutes. That was the XZ1. Charging a bit on the long side, 2 hours 22 minutes, but at least with 1 hour you get 73% juice on your phone. Of course, the typical battery protection feature is here, so if you leave the phone to charge overnight, you will not damage the battery by letting it sit at 100%, because it goes to 90% and it stops there. There's stamina mode, which will restrict some performance things. You can see here background data, GPS, video image enhancement, and more. We also have something advanced here, the stamina level with 3 settings: battery time, balance, or device performance, and the restrictions. And then there's the ultra stamina, which basically turns off everything but these basic features. So I have to say that in the end, it's a mixed battery, pretty okay playback time, but not very impressive continuous usage. At least it charges reasonably fast, in 1 hour, 73%. Now we're off to the acoustics. Okay, so on the acoustics front, we have a dual speaker setup here. We got the earpiece at the top and we got a bottom speaker, which I'm sure you cannot see. It's a very small slit. If you look closely, you're going to see it. So 2 speakers here, obviously stereophony, high resolution, LDAC, all the goodness. And the music player on board is this one. Strangely, they must have argued with Spotify or something. There's no longer Spotify integration, no longer a native one, even though the PlayStation offers Spotify integration. Anyways, audio settings are generous. We got DSEE-HX to upgrade the compressed music, Clear Audio Plus, sound effects with an equalizer, with genres. There's these 5 custom channels, there's clear bass, there's surround sound, a bunch of options, S-Force front surround with a very realistic surround actually, sound effects, okay, dynamic normalizer, and optimization for your headphones. Now let's go to the actual experience and be prepared to be amazed by something cool. So if you play a song, okay, so if you play a song, you get here dynamic vibration for music. It will vibrate in the same rhythm as the bass. That's cool. Okay, so conclusions, the dynamic vibration thing is nifty if you're watching a movie like something like Fast and Furious and the phone vibrates in tune with the cars. Experience was loud and clear, the stereo surround was nice, great bass, super voice, small vibration of the back, so the back vibrates even with the dynamic thing off. Other than that, I have to mention there's no audio jack here at the bottom or top, but at least they bundled a special adapter with the phone. Okay, so I actually compared it to the Google Pixel 2 XL, and that one felt a bit louder and a bit clearer, but this one is no slouch either, and it was pretty loud from my experience. We did some tests. We achieved 82.5 decibels. This is achieved when the phone is facing down, so 82.5 with the phone facing down, and our typical acoustic sample, 83.5 decibels were achieved at the top of the phone, and at the bottom of the phone a value of 81.3 decibels. So basically, if we are wondering about the results, so with the most basic value here, we achieved a result that's below the iPhone 8 and Xperia XZ2 Ultra. This is at the bottom of the phone, but it beats the Samsung Galaxy A5 2017. Now at the top of the phone here, this speaker beats the Xperia XZ1 and iPhone 8 and scores below the Galaxy S9 Plus. Okay, so the other test involves gaming, Riptide GP Renegade, and here we score 92.5 decibels. I would say we're doing fine. Beats Galaxy S8, Xperia XZ1, but scores below the Nokia 6 and Galaxy Note 8. And now the special surprise, bundle with the phone in some countries, on some carriers and on some retailers, are the very cool, amazing and very flexible, very compact set of headphones. It's called has a big name, this one here, Sony WH-1000XM2. It's crazy. It has touch controls which you cannot see. There's a very nice leathery texture. Of course you can expand them. They can hook up to your device via Bluetooth obviously, and they also have this input here, so they got a bundle cable. We got here buttons, the power on button, the NC and ambient button, and the best isolation of noise that my ears have heard like ever. This type of headphones should be bought for around $400 or even $500 separately, and Sony bundles them for free with the phone in some regions. How cool is that? We put this aside. We're done with the acoustic. The headphones totally blew me away. They're very loud and have excellent bass and excellent isolation. On the camera front, things are familiar. It's basically the same sensor as the Xperia XZ Premium and XZ1. We're dealing here with a 19 megapixel motion eye sensor with Exmor RX technology, f2.0 aperture, 1.22 micron pixels, 25mm wide lens, Bion Z processing, and this time super slow motion capture in Full HD. 8x digital zoom, autofocus burst, which is a new one, 4K HDR, also a new one, 5-axis steady shot and anti-distortion shutter, also a new feature. Predictive hybrid autofocus and triple image sensing. You can see here the sensors and the flash. Got face detection autofocus, infrared and depth as far as I know, plus LED yet again. So at the front we got the 5 megapixel shooter. It's an Exmor RS. It has its own steady shot stabilization, and now it's time to access the camera UI. Okay, so camera UI goes like this. I'm going to put this here, see what's happening. Got the superior auto thing going on. The interface is typical Xperia. Photos are not taken very fast for some reason. Pretty fluid zoom. The focus is rather fast, not as fast as the Galaxy S9, but still pretty okay. You can tweak the exposure. The superior auto mode is able to find and detect different scenarios. Got the manual mode with tweaks, exposure, ISO, white balance, shutter, and focus, of course. Plus some extras here. We got HDR, we got resolution, object tracking, metering, and so much more. Now if you go here, you will be able to find HDR 4K videos and super slow motion with some extras. You can film in Full HD or HD for super slow motion, 160 frames per second. And then there's AR and something new, there's bokeh with a single camera. We usually need 2 cameras for that. Leaving this behind, as usual, we shot an obscene amount of photos, 277, and we actually have more of them, but we could not fit them onto the device. It's taken multiple sessions of photographing, and boy, have we taken shots, a lot of them. Let me start from here. So it was a very sunny day. We first of all try to test and see if the level of detail is any good. It's actually quite impressive, which was expected for 19 megapixel sensor. We got excellent focus, close-up and things like that. So we did an indoor close-up with food. Looks stunning, excellent texture of the fish. It's a cod or something like it. And we also did a bunch of selfies. Here I'm pretty impressed by the lighting and the fact that you can see my pores. You can see all the pores on the forehead, on the nose. No extra beautification needed. And once again, good clarity in that bright sunny day and excellent level of details and the focus. Now we proceed to the other day. Close-ups of flowers. They are, I would say, flagship worthy. They can fight any flagship from this year. They can easily fight Galaxy S9, S9 Plus, whatever other phone you can fancy. And then we went to the park and started testing things like HDR, zoom, and so forth. Now, even though the details were good in general, I would have to say that the zoom at some point will pale. At the first 2 or 3 levels it's okay, but if you go to the max you'll lose some details. And also, even though the selfies, well, I like them, I like the natural colors, the texture and all that, I feel that the Xperia XZ1 was only slightly better than the XZ2. Don't ask me why, it's a feeling of mine. Okay, so let's see even more shots. The brilliant colors of spring, almost summer somehow. Every once in a while we had some burnt shots, but they were quickly corrected by taking one more shot. So for example, here you can see the glistening of the sun. Take one more shot or 2 and it will be okay. The zoom is tested here, so regular shot, zoom in a lot, and the details are quite impressive, even though if you go to the max, no longer that impressive. One of the best features of the phone is the way it captures the sky without burning it, without having dynamic range problems, and also some very nice flowers here. Excellent color calibration. There are times when I feel that this is superior to the Galaxy S9 Plus. Well, it isn't actually, but I feel it is every once in a while. The disappointing aspect about the capture, probably the only one, is the bokeh. So we actually try to play with the bokeh here. Not that it's bad or anything, but it feels that it's software. Sometimes the blurry part goes into the focus part, and that's annoying, so you should better avoid bokeh here. It's certainly not as good as the Google Pixel 2 XL one from software. In the end, my captures, the bulk of them, was at the level of a DSLR, not even joking. And compared to the XZ1, the jump is minimal, but I'm very happy with the details, the clarity, the focus, the brightness. This is probably one of the few phones that will have zero problems with dynamic range when the sun is too strong or when the sun is too low. The colors will pop, and the XZ1 was already perfect in my view, but somehow this took it to another level. So best colors around, best details around, and the selfies and bokeh are a bit underwhelming. This is during the day. Let's go straight to the low light capture. So it was a North Pole night, so it snowed very bad. It was a March snow, it was crazy, and still the phone took it like a champ. This is the flash photo, a bit bluish if you ask me. And now we get back to the regular shots. The details are quite okay, pretty good lighting for such a non-impressive aperture. Great level of detail. The streetlight halos have an okay size considering the situation. Great texture of objects. Superb texture of the snow, so if you look closely, when the snow hits the ground, when it's on the floor, you can really feel it on your fingertips. And once again, those were North Pole conditions, and considering that, it faced things like a champ. Other than the flash making things blue, I would say things are super for a blizzard. It's hard to say if it's better than a Galaxy S9 Plus. At first sight, not, but it's very close, and I feel that it's a jump from the Xperia XZ1, better colors, better streetlight halos, and a little bit better brightness. Now let's go to the videos. Okay, so for the videos, once again we have a huge amount here. We did everything: 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second, Full HD, 4K, 4K HDR. And the first thing I want to mention is that 4K HDR is a bit overkill because it makes things too white, so it should be used when things are dark. Okay, so here we go. 4K HDR. You cannot see it on this screen, but when seen on my PC screen, things feel a bit washed out, too white. Of course, the clarity is perfect, color is very good, but the brightness is a bit off. Extra exposure with that HDR thing. So that's 4K HDR. The best video on the phone is the stabilization one. As usual, steady shot is a champ. There were times when I felt I was watching maybe something like a TV show, a newsreel. This feels like a newsreel about an Easter show in the park. It's actually just me, regular average Joe, with a phone filming in the park. Perfect stabilization, I would say. I keep saying that for about 2 years. Xperia XZ Premium, Xperia XZ1, X Performance even, perfect stabilization. And once again, I'm loving the intro here with the kid who goes by. This is a phone, people, not a camera, not a TV crew, so that's even more impressive. If you want more colors and details, we got this video. Solid colors, solid details. And speaking of details, I was actually shocked that when you zoom in, you will lose some of the details, unlike we saw in the photo department. And the calibration of green is okay, in case you're wondering. Nice clarity and very good microphone. It captured all the voices around the people shopping for stuff for Easter. Okay, so you're probably wondering about the slow motion thing. We have it here. The Full HD one is much shorter. That's one of the drawbacks. But it's more impressive than the Galaxy S9, I can say that easily. Okay, so another video is this one here. You can see a little goat and its mom. This is an area where the shade and the sun were clashing, so dynamic range problems could appear, but they didn't, so that's okay. And of course, we also took a selfie video walking around. The sun was a bit of a problem. I actually took a similar video with the Xperia XZ1. I recommend you go back and watch it because that one was superior. It was taken during the, I'm guessing, summer or a very late 30 degrees plus day, and that phone faced the heat better than this one. This one keeps changing exposure and shades. It's clear, it's got good colors and good texture, but the Xperia XZ1 was better in selfies. I'm saying that for the pictures, I'm saying that for the videos. However, check out the stabilization. I'm actually going around people, something like that, dodging them, and still excellent stabilization. More rabbits, more cute stuff, more slow motion thingies here to have fun with. So you have a lot of videos to watch once our text review is done. The rabbit here is in slow motion. You can tell probably that I'm very happy with the camera. So overall things are perfect, minus the details, minus the selfie. and I wouldn't use the HDR 4K unless you really need to. It's very hard to compare to the Galaxy S9 Plus. They're basically on par, except for the slow motion, which is better here, and the upgrade from the XZ1, not actually that big. However, you can feel it during the night time. So yes, I know things are a bit shakier during the night. It was a polar night. Things also feel a bit orange and pink, only slightly, and that's just the first impression. It's actually regular yellow on account of the street lights. Excellent brightness, clarity and colors. A superb night to catch on video in the worst conditions ever. And here's an area where you actually feel the upgrade from the XZ1, where I'm talking about colors, brightness, and even the stabilization is better. If we took this on the Xperia XZ1, the halos have been bigger, there would have been some blur, so that's the evolution of the XZ2. Overall, an excellent camera. I would say that the Galaxy S9 is in deep trouble, and even with a single camera, the phone is great. The only minus is the front camera and also maybe the bokeh thing not working out here. On the browser front, we got good old Chrome. We put it to work. Let's load up gsndom.com. Come on, gsndom.com. Here we go. Loading it up on Chrome. And speaking of Chrome, we achieved fantastic results in SunSpider and the other browser benchmarks. Virtual keyboard is SwiftKey with swipe included, so that's nice. And on the connectivity front, the phone is available in dual SIM and single SIM versions. You got nano SIM card slots, 4G LTE category 18 up to 1.2 GB per second downloads in ideal conditions. No audio jack, but an USB Type-C 3.1 here. We got 8 GPS, there's GLONASS, there's a whole party of options here. There's Beidou, Galileo, Wi-Fi A, B, GN, AC, there's Miracast, Bluetooth 5.0, DLNA, Google Cast, and I just got tired of saying them all. On the calls front, things were very loud, very clear, actually one of the best call qualities I've heard lately. Usually I'm happy with it on flagships, but this is something else. And we also did a bunch of speed tests, and here are the results. I would say very impressive. Check out the Wi-Fi. 369 megabits per second downloads, 26.1 uploads, and that's Wi-Fi. LTE 4G, we go up to 149 over 65.7 megabits per second, so I would say we're doing fine in an urban area in Western Romania. Now, on the software front, you can probably tell it's a relatively clean version of Android 8.0.0 Oreo. I would have expected it's 8.1, but let's leave it at that. So the main advantage is the seamless thing, so two partitions. On one of them you will install Android P, on the other one you'll keep running Oreo. That's one of the good things, and one of the rare things nowadays. The typical Xperia UI is very glossy, you can see it here, very glossy, very colorful, and not very far from the stock option. Multitasking is done via carousel, and you can go with something like split screen. So on the one hand you're watching things in Google Play Store, on the other hand you're watching a video here. So downloading an app and watching a video in split screen, that's it in a nutshell. The leftmost home screen is dedicated to the Google feed. Okay, so more Russia stuff, scary stuff, Russia, USA, Google feed. Pinch the screen or keep it pressed and you'll see the widgets, wallpapers, themes, transitions, grid and settings. Widgets are close to stock, but also very glossy, typical Xperia. Wallpapers, some of them for pay, bunch of themes, very cute. Transitions and settings related to icon size, duplicates, and so forth. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you here is the drop down section. We got here notifications, we got quick settings with a pretty sober black background, and in the settings area you can find typical stuff. It's a pretty compact settings list. You got connectivity, device connection, appearance, apps, battery, display, sound, storage, which takes a while to load. We have a lot of 4K videos. Lock screen, users and accounts, Xperia Assist, and I'm going to focus on this one here. So, fingerprint manager. We have a fingerprint scanner at the back, not the comfiest in the world. You would expect it to be here, but that's actually the camera, so it's intuitively to place the finger here. The scanner is actually here, so be wary of that. I'm loving the fact that the setup process is only 5 or 6 steps long. Now let's see just how snappy it is. So put the finger here. You saw my instinct was to go here towards the camera. It's actually here. Fast unlock, pretty snappy, even at 90 degrees. Okay, let's see what else we missed in the settings area. Something new here, something intelligent, Xperia Assist. So you can do some automation here, Xperia actions like good night, focus, commute, gaming. you can do a bunch of selections and settings which will activate automatically in certain scenarios at certain hours. There's battery care, there's stamina mode, there's a smart cleaner which optimizes storage and memory, and also something called the Xperia Intelligence Engine, which should make your recommendations and change the device's usage as you go along. Now, some bad news: we have quite a few applications pre-installed, 43 of them. It's quite many, so not very useful stuff like Amazon Shopping, Prime Video, Kindle, and Prime Photos. Of course, if you're an Amazon user, this is useful. If you're not, nope. Sketch, there's here files, bokeh, AR effect, 3D creator, which lets you create a 3D mock-up of someone's face, and actually you can 3D print it with a real 3D printer, turn that person's face into a real object, and even cake, turn it into even real cake if you're using special batter. Okay, so we got PlayStation here, we got lounge, we got weather, we got news, and overall 43 apps sounds like a lot. Now, we have reached the end of the review for the Sony Xperia XZ2. Beautiful headphones, I fell in love with them, and the body is polarizing for sure. On the pro side, we got a design that will grow on you. We got a very bright and actually superb screen, solid performance all around, okay video playback time, I'm talking about the battery, pretty good acoustics, pretty solid acoustics overall, excellent headphones, great colors, details and stabilization in the camera department, solid low light capture, fast connectivity, and Oreo and the promise of seamless updates. Now, if you're wondering about the cons, the phone will slip on most surfaces. It's also big and brickish, heavy. It's got a low PC Mark result. It's got a poor bokeh capture. The selfies feel inferior to the predecessor, which is never good. I feel that the Full HD slow-mo video is a bit too short for my liking. The whole vibration system feels like a gimmick I'm not a big fan of, you know, the vibration during the music. And the fact that there's a lot of bloatware does not tickle me one bit. We have 4 Amazon apps, come on people. So in the end, for me, the Sony Xperia XZ2 feels like the ultimate multimedia phone. Why? It's got that PS4 app, remote control PS4, it's got excellent music and headphones, excellent gaming, you saw the benchmarks of the GPU, excellent video playback, almost 12 hours, excellent camera and excellent performance. It's as future-proof as they get. The design is, as I said before, polarizing. The fact that it doesn't slip from your hand is a big thing. Finally, Sony changed something from the design. I have to admit the screen is not as immersive as the Galaxy S9, but it's definitely a looker, this display here. So multimedia phone for sure. If you're a camera buff, music buff, you're getting those godly headphones for sure. And also taking some very nifty 4K clips and solid microphone to record concerts. So multimedia phone and also a very powerful flagship, even more powerful than the S9 in some of the tests. This has been the review of the Xperia XZ2 here at gsmdom.com. Hope you enjoyed it. It's very in-depth. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This is from us. Bye bye.